Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, especially our friends in India, welcome back to another episode of Radioactive Curry. Doing something a little bit different this week. We're going off Fuzzy's recommendation of a biography that we saw on Netflix called The Hunt for Veerappan. Let's see, 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 97% like this show. And let's see, the rise and fall of a dreaded smuggler whose bloody reign sparks a 20-year-long manhunt in South India. First episode date was August 4th, 2023 in India. Let's see, 4-part episode documentary, not a biopic, about the approach that the police forces from TN and KA had to use to capture him. Eyewitnesses and people involved narrate the story. Interesting. So,
I dug it. I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, it was, it wasn't enthralling. Like, oh my god.
We weren't sure if we were supposed to watch all of it, but we only watched the first episode. We weren't sure if we were dragging this out for 4 weeks or if we were doing it all at once. So yeah,
it's up to you guys. I watched the whole thing. I ate up the whole thing. So. But that's because I can't, like I told you before, once I start something, I got to finish it, unless it's
a little bit obsessive.
Then I give up. If it's swords and sandals, I give up. But if it's anything else, I'll watch the whole thing. No. I literally, we'll talk about it later, about what happened this weekend. You guys will laugh your ass off, but it had something to do with that.
Good content for the live. All right, so Veerappan, poacher, smuggler, death bringer of elephants. Part of the Thai culture that I'm in is a severe reverence for elephants, and we don't have a lot of. And this is one thing that I do consider myself Thai about, because being biracial, it's like a buffet. You can pick and choose what you want to embrace from the different parts of your culture. And this particular part of my culture, I love elephants. We have family stories and things about elephants. I don't know if they're as entertaining as my Punchy Pit stories, but elephants are a big deal. So I instantly put Veerappan into the villain category in my head. But I feel like it really depends on what side of the fence you are with this guy. I can see a rabble rouser like Josh thinking that this guy is the hero of the South, and who cares about endangered species and all that stuff? They're all, God put them on the earth for us to kill them all. So, but it was interesting. I don't know. I watched the whole thing like Fuzzy. I don't know where I could stop to have it be one episode for me.
Well, it's up to you guys.
I watched all 4, but I wasn't sure where we were going with this one. If it was going to be like a weekly thing or an all encompassing. I mean, we're going to go back and watch the other 3 episodes because the way they left that first episode with her just smiling, you're just like, I fucking hate you.
Oh man,
how come you did that? Like, look.
Oh no, she does, dude. She does. Like, there's to me, this was a mix of a true story of Rambo and Robin Hood all mixed into one. You know what I mean? Like, it was a dude,
especially when they really had Rambo.
He had, I know, dude. And then like a hostage situation. You haven't gotten to this point, but there's a hostage situation that's the longest hostage situation. Like when the days kept going by, I was like, they're kidding, right? Like, there's no. Like, they couldn't find him. Like, he's that good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was in the jungle. Like, he became the jungle and shit like that. Like, I was like, this guy's badass, dude. Like, but the whole time I'm watching the documentary,
talk to the birds.
Myself. I was like, I go, where's the Curry movie for this one, dude? Like, I want to see this one. Like, show me this one. Like, I'll see the dramatic version of this movie. Like, that would be awesome. Like, I was in. I was like, oh, this is really cool. It gets slow at the end, though. At the end, you're just like, oh, come on, dude. Like, come on. Catch the motherfucker, please.
Well, it took a while for me to have it get going. Like, I watched like the first 20 minutes of it, and I was just like, oh, when I was texting you guys, I was like, I was looking for that sweet release, but it didn't come. You guys all were about it, so I ended up, digging in on it. But it's interesting. It's interesting about the different states. This path that we're on, learning about a whole other region of the world that has its own history and its own fighting and the different languages, and like, as far as I knew, they're all just Indians, but they're much like the Native Americans. There's a bunch of different nations within the nation, and it's deep. It's deep. But the sandalwood, the elephants, you think he's a bad guy, but it does harken back to the romanticism of, like, I want to say, turn of the 20th century America, Bonnie and Clyde type,
Bugsy Siegel, but at the same time they're friends with the people, you know what I mean? Like, they're the people's champion, like The Rock, like, you know what I mean? But doing dirty shit instead of making
some
sure
of the people,
everyone
right?
Eats their...
You're not sure if he's the bad guy, because he's like, look, how come when I do it, it's wrong, but when you do it, it's okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then that motherfucker just goes out and he kills, like, an actual nice guy who was doing what he was doing, like, times 10 in that, like, village area. And then he's just like, wait a minute, you might be sleeping with my sister? Oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna make my sister kill this guy? Oh, and then she gets all sad and stuck between a rock and a hard place, and she kills herself? And now I'm gonna get pissed because you made my sister kill herself? But hey, he takes no culpability in any of this, and and then he just goes crazy. And that's where we left off, and that's where, like, the first episode, like, ends, is with the death of that nice guy, and then you're like, this guy's a real dick. Like, you know what I mean?
And that's what I was going to say, is that it was interesting to see a documentary that was made by somebody from India about this. I had so many thoughts about this show, even from the one episode. So first of all, I had no idea that Indian had hardcore, like, killers like this dude. We watch all these movies and everything's like a buddy comedy and they're all friendly, and you even want to hug, like, Stree and Grandma from Tom Bad, you're like, oh, that's nice. But, like, this guy is like a brutal SOB. But I like the way that they slow played it in the first episode, because, like Nate said, I had certain sympathies with what's his name again? Veerappan. So I had certain sympathies with him. He's a guy in an extraordinarily poor village, and he has to make a living. And slaughtering the elephants is kind of abhorrent, especially here in the West. We look at that and we're like, what the hell, dude? But he's trying to make a living. He's trying to feed his family. He's trying to feed the villagers. And then, once he's exhausted his supply of the elephants, then he moves on to chopping down trees, because he figures out, oh, here's this new enterprise that I can get into. And you have some sympathy because, like, one of the major people that's interviewed in that first episode is his wife. And she talks about how, he's the kind of guy that, if you're loyal to him, he would give his life for you. But if you stab him in the back, he will murder you straight up. And I'm like, I have some sympathy for that. I'm like, this is probably a little bit more edgy than I would be in that given situation, but I can certainly sympathize with you. She says, like, oh, if the governor builds himself like a couch or a chair out of sandalwood, nobody blinks an eye. But if we sell some so we can eat, then everybody gets all, bent out of shape. And I'm like, yeah, this all makes sense. The government's corrupt. It's out to do its own kind of thing. And this guy's just trying to make his way in the world a little bit. And he's, got some ideas. But that was where the turn takes place in the story. See, not only does he kill this guy who is he thinks is responsible for his sister's death, but he cuts off his arms, he lights him on fire, and he cuts off his head and keeps the head as a souvenir. And he brags about it, like, on that phone call. And I'm like, oh no, this guy's a psycho. he actually is the bad. So there was like this way that the guy who puts the documentary together, that he narrates the story in such a way that it starts off where you can kind of have some sympathy for him. And then at the very end of the episode, when you see the kind of brutality and depravity that this guy is capable of, you're like, oh no, he really is the bad guy in this story. And especially the ending, when the documentary guy questions the wife about it and says, well, what about like, these murders and stuff? And all she does is smile at him. And you're like, oh, this bitch is cold. She is cold. Like the whole time you're like, oh, she's this like young lady who's taken in by this brave, jungle warrior guy, and all. No. She's his complicit ally. She's devious as hell.
When you hear what they do to this lady, you're gonna know why she fucking giggles like that. So like I said, I thought the same way until you get to the I don't want to spoil it, but you get to this point and something happens to her, and you're gonna go, oh hell no, I would whoop someone's ass. Like I think I have sympathy for him, and they did a great job with that, but I think he's the hero. I know you guys think he's the villain, but I think he's the hero. Like that's but again, that's
3 episodes to watch.
And it started off where we thought he was kind of like the hero, like a Robin Hood, and then it switched where we thought he was the villain. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's another turn in the episodes that are coming where we're like, well, okay, he was kind of brutal, that dude, but look what he's up against. You know what I mean, or something like that. But I wanted to touch on one other thing, because it occurred to me. You said, it'd be great for them to do like a film, movie about this guy, like an actual like film. And while we were watching it, Liz and I think we were talking, and we noticed there were a lot of points in it where it seemed like some of his character traits and attributes and things like that are things that we've seen in some of these other movies that we've already watched. It's like the filmmakers were taking parts of him and integrating that into some of the characters that we've watched and enjoyed. And I can definitely see that, and I'm grateful that we've watched all of these Indian films, because I think if we would have gone into this like over a year ago and watched this documentary, I think I would have been so lost. I would have not picked up on like half of what they were talking about because of the accents, or like the places that they're talking about and things like that. I would have been like, what the hell's going on? Having absorbed some of Indian culture through the films that we've watched, I feel like watching this documentary, I was able to keep up with everything that was going on. Like, okay, I get that. We've seen in the movies the police slapping people around and doing stuff like that. So like, that's
it, 100%. So.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Are the cops good guys? Like some of them.
Right.
This isn't the first that's why I thought Indian documentary series that I've watched. Netflix, I fell down a rabbit hole of serial killers, and there's a couple of like if we want to watch more stuff, I can like recommend some like serial killer like that make like the Night Stalker look like he's dressed up for Halloween and trick or treating kind of thing. Like it makes our like killers look like they're like amateurs next to some of the guys that have done things over there. It's very interesting, like because of the culture and stuff like that. But anyway,
I think I watched one of. Well, the guy that did the narration right at the beginning and at the end of the last episode, it sounded like the guy that does the song from Vikram. There was a man. I was like, when he came on, I got excited. I was like, oh, Vikram's gonna show up and he's gonna whip some ass, and this is where Vikram. Like I was playing it all in my head. I was writing a whole other fucking movie in my head, but like but just like you said, because we were watching it because the trailer just popped up when I sent you guys that picture, because I was like, oh fuck, I'm like, we've never seen a documentary, and then in my head, because the trailer's in English, so I was like, oh, it'll be easy to watch, like we won't have to do a lot of reading, it'll be awesome. I was like, oh crap. Like it was just all subtitles again. I was like, shit. I shot myself in the foot. Now it's 4 hours, dude. So all I did was I broke it up into pieces, but I dug it. Like the whole idea of seeing a different culture. Like I love Bonnie and Clyde, the stories of Bonnie and Clyde and Billy the Kid and like all that, all that stuff. Like I love those kind of stories because the whole idea of what we're talking about, are they villains or are they heroes? Are we romanticizing a horrible person that did these horrible things, or
ultimately it's not black and white?
Right. There's sometimes there is a reason that this all happened. You know what I mean? And then when you find the real story, you go, oh, that's not that kind of fucking cool. Like, you know what I mean? But this one, I was like, if all this is true, I was like, there needs to be a movie about this. Like, I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like the idea of a dude that can do that, like it's literally David versus Goliath. You know what I mean? He's going after. I mean, they have hunters out there, like trackers and shit, trying to get this guy, and he's just wiping them all out, dude. Like I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like they have machine guns. It's like he has a stick and he's still taking them out. You know what I mean? Like he's Rambo, dude. Like I love this shit. Like, so I mean, but I get about the whole villain idea, because he is doing, he's murdering. I mean, it's the whole same thing with the Punisher. You know what I mean? Like when we love comics, and it's the same thing with the Punisher. It's like some people look at him as a murdering scumbag. Some people look at him as a hero doing what we don't want to do and stuff. So
doesn't he have a rainbow in his shirt? I love now.
I don't know. I stopped reading it a while ago. So.
No, I think it went back to the old logo.
Good.
That's good.
That strikes fear.
Now, this one was like number 3, like on my list on Netflix, because like I said, I'm watching a bunch of so this is in that vein of like true crime, like serial killer things, and so this was like on my checklist of things to like watch, because as I'm working, I'll just have my phone there and I'll just be watching it and typing and doing whatever I'm doing. And
you could tell that it was in her wheelhouse though, because when I don't watch too much of the Netflix or stuff on my own, so I sat down and I'm like, man, where am I going to find this movie? And I just turn on the PlayStation and fire up the streaming services, and boom, it's like right there. And first thing, I'm like, oh, that's the one.
Like,
well, that's how I found
it. I don't have to spell it. It's like there.
It literally popped up, and I went, and I was reading, and the trailer was playing, and I was reading about it. I go, oh, this sounds dope. But I didn't see how many episodes it was, so I was like, oh, let's do this. And then when we saw the episodes, I went, oh, fuck, dude, this is 4 hours long. It's like, shit.
It's the thing
but all of our shit's 4 hours. That's only 40 minutes, not really 4 hours.
Right.
And that's each day.
It whittles down to 3.5.
And that's
which is like an Indian movie.
It's like I wanted to watch more episodes, but because I thought we were doing this kind of like one a week, I was like, oh, we better stop here. So
we'll do 2. This is our intro,
okay.
Then we'll wrap it next time. You guys catch the next 3.
Yeah.
Okay,
we'll finish it up. No problem.
Dope. All right. Well,
and
I'm excited
people watching,
to get the conclusion.
Give us some like movies that are like this. Maybe
I got the next one.
Like biopics.
I got the next one already.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So yeah, give us some
I got the next one already.
Too.
All right, but we got to finish the Hunt for Veerappan next week, guys. Good guy, bad guy. What do you think? Is he a hero, anti-hero? What do you think? How devious was the wife? She had the power of the nose ring on her side. Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to click that like button and subscribe. We'll see you next week on Radioactive Curry. Fuzzy, take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Have some love, some peace, and that Popeye's grease. We out. Peace.